Hi there, my name is Isadora and welcome to my channel. So, this is gonna be hopefully a quick and easy to understand kind of video, okay? And I'm gonna try to explain how does the mind of a polyglot person works. First of all, what's a polyglot, right? So, if a person speaks two languages like Portuguese and English, that person is bilingual. If the same person speaks more than three languages like Portuguese, English, French, Spanish, or whatever, the person is a polyglot. Okay, we have that. Now I'm gonna use a mind map to explain, hopefully in a easy way, how does it work in the brain. Okay, so here we have the mind map that I've created, and we have two persons talking. So this one is one person, and we have the second person here. Okay, good. So the brain of the first person is here, and all the languages that this person speaks, and the same person speaking, right, in those languages. And we have the second person listening and uh, responding. Okay, Okay, so in this example, this person speaks Portuguese, English, French, Spanish, Italian, Korean, and Japanese. Those are seven languages. That's a lot. Not as much as one polyglot would want, but it's a lot for a normal person. Anyway, you get it. Okay, so here comes the hardest part. Okay, so throughout the day, this first person is thinking and doing and talking in many languages, right? So, for example, if I'm speaking with my family in Portuguese here in Brazil, I they respond to me in Portuguese and I respond to them in Portuguese also, right? But if I get in a meeting about work and I have to speak in English, my brain switches, right, to English. And if I'm gonna watch a movie in French, my brain switches again. And that's just what happens throughout the day of a polyglot person. That's really normal. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So I'm gonna use this first example. Like, okay, we have a person speaking Portuguese and English, but priority. And we have the second person that doesn't speak Portuguese, but it does speak English. Okay. So what does the brain do? The brain thinks in Portuguese, responds in Portuguese, and the person, uh, actually, the brain thinks in Portuguese, and then the person speaks in Portuguese, and the second person responds to the first in Portuguese. That's okay. We get that. But okay, but if we have two people, now that's where it gets complicated. Because here's what happens: the first person speaks only in Portuguese, and the second person speaks only in English. I have been in a situation a couple months ago that I was working as a translator, right? And I had two people, and one that I had to speak in Portuguese, and the other that I had to speak in English, right? And the first one spoke to me asking the second person something in Portuguese, and I had to translate in English to the person so he could speak back to me and I could speak back to the first person. And at the moment, I was getting so confused because the conversation was so it was literally in a flow, you know, and I get to the time that I start to speak with the person who speaks Portuguese. I start to speak in English, and to the person who speaks in English, I was speaking Portuguese because in that time my brain was getting too confused. Because here's what happened: the languages starts to mix. So who speaks more than two languages, two or more even, will understand what I'm saying. you get to a time in a day that you're speaking Portuguese, but in for whatever reason, your brain starts to connect it and starts to speak in English. So you're thinking in Portuguese, then you're thinking in English, and then you speak. That's just what happens. Like, there's not really something I can explain. It's just how it is. Okay, it's just how it is. Anyway, so that's how you get so confused because you're trying to speak in another language and respond in another language and think and realize what you're doing. There's no lie. That's just what happens. Anyway, as I was saying, so if I'm thinking in Portuguese and answering in Portuguese to the first person, and then the person responds to me in Portuguese, then I have to think what the person said in Portuguese again, but then I have to think in English to respond in English, and you see this thing right here when you have all the languages mixing, and it's so confusing at one time that I think I can not even explain it right. I'm sorry, I'm trying. I'm really trying. Anyway, it's not as hard to be polyglot as people think. For I mean, being full honest here, I'm not fluent in all the languages I speak, but I do understand a lot, like a lot. Not fluent though, but I do understand. And the first example that I used a couple minutes ago when I said that I'm speaking Portuguese and then I get in a meeting in English and then I'm watching a movie in French and writing something in Spanish, that's just a normal day for me. Like it's normal. It's just how it is. Anyway, um, this is, as I said, a quick video. Not sure if it was easy to understand, but I have tried, right? And if you have any doubts or comments, just put a comment below and let me know what's going on in your mind. And how many languages do you speak? I speak like fluent Portuguese and English. I'm getting there in French, being honest. I have done a level test, right? And I'm almost fluent, so I'm really happy about it. Hopefully, I'll have a video of me speaking French one of these couple days, probably after 2025. Anyway, that's it, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.